All right, let's get right into it. Because every single flu season, without fail, we are absolutely bombarded by wellness marketing. You know the drill. You walk into any grocery store or pharmacy, and it's printed on juice bottles, it's plastered across supplement labels, it's dominating every ad you see online. And they all promise to do one magical thing, right? To boost your immune system. It's an incredibly compelling idea. The promise that if you just buy the right gummy or drink the right fizzy syrup, you can instantly upgrade your body's natural defenses. Where we're going to look strictly at the science of immune balance. We're going to break down what your immune system actually needs based on current immunology research, and we'll uncover why this whole idea of boosting isn't just unproven, but fundamentally misunderstands how our bodies actually work.
So let's start with the big, obvious question. Can you really boost your immunity? Think about that single word for a second, boost. It implies something very specific about our biology. It kind of suggests that your immune system operates like a volume knob on a stereo, and that taking the right over-the-counter product simply cranks that volume up to maximum. We've been so heavily conditioned to believe that a more active immune system is automatically a better immune system. But when you look at the actual source material from immunologists, they consistently point out a massive conceptual problem with this framing. Long story short, that is simply not how the immune system functions.
And this contrast brilliantly illustrates exactly where the disconnect happens. We're sold this marketing myth, the idea of a simple dial that goes from low to high. But the scientific reality? It's completely different. Your immune system is not a single entity. It's definitely not a simple switch. It is this incredibly complex, highly delicate, and meticulously balanced network of dozens of different cell types and signaling pathways, all working together. In a network that intricate, just blindly adding more activity across the board isn't automatically better. In fact, it can be highly destructive.
So what should we actually be aiming for? The precise definition of what we want is immune balance. The ultimate goal of a healthy immune system is appropriate regulation, not maximum activity. Think of it like an elite symphony orchestra. You definitely don't want the brass section just blasting their instruments as loudly as possible all the time. That's not music, that's just a headache. You want every single section playing exactly when they are supposed to, at the precise volume required for the piece. The actual goal of our immune network is to be well-regulated and appropriately responsive to genuine threats, not just hyperactive.
This brings us to an absolutely crucial point, understanding the very real danger of more. As immunologists explicitly note, an overactive immune response is the underlying mechanism behind autoimmune conditions and allergic reactions. This right here completely shatters the marketing myth. When your immune system has too much activity, or when it's poorly regulated, it starts attacking things that aren't actually a threat to you. It might attack harmless pollen, giving you severe allergies, or honestly, worse, it might attack your own healthy cells, which is exactly how autoimmune conditions happen. This is why immunologists will tell you that striving for more immune activity as a general health goal is a terrible idea. It could actually be the exact opposite of what you want.
Okay, so if the whole premise of boosting is flawed, what about all those actual products lining the pharmacy shelves? Most of this marketing heavily implies that taking a specific vitamin or compound is going to meaningfully strengthen your immune function way beyond what a normal diet provides. But science draws a really hard line between two very different scenarios here. First, diagnosed deficiencies. If you have an actual medically diagnosed deficiency in nutrients like vitamin C or zinc, and I mean confirmed by a blood test, not just a guess, then correcting that through targeted supplementation has a really high benefit. It's well established. But then there's the adequate diet baseline. For people who already have enough of these nutrients through a normal diet, which, by the way, is the vast majority of people in the US without specific diagnosis, the evidence supporting extra benefit is really, really weak. It's like having a full tank of gas. Pouring more gas on top of it doesn't make the car run better.
And that brings us to a genuinely fascinating research finding regarding vitamin C, which is pretty much the undisputed king of immune supplements. Now, some studies do show that regular, daily supplementation might offer a tiny reduction in how long a cold lasts. However, starting to take vitamin C only after your symptoms have already begun shows little to no symptom reduction whatsoever. And think about that for a second. That completely undercuts how almost all of us actually use these products. Most people aren't taking them every single day of the year. We reach for that fizzy tablet or that handful of gummies the exact second we feel a tickle in our throat. And the science shows us that, at that point, it's largely completely ineffective.
So if retail products aren't the magic bullet that the marketing teams claim they are, what actually does work?
Well, when researchers measure the strength of evidence for true immune support, standard over-the-counter supplements barely even register on the chart compared to foundational lifestyle habits. The massive, undeniable advantages here belong to sleep, stress management, and exercise. These have a genuine, rigorously established relationship with immune function in the scientific literature. And the best part? Not a single one of these requires you to buy a product. The absolute most powerful tools at your disposal are just the basic fundamental habits of human health.
Let's break down exactly why these three are so powerful, based on the source research. First up, adequate sleep. This literally has some of the absolute strongest evidence in the entire field. Research shows that insufficient sleep measurably impairs your specific immune responses. Actually, studies have even found that a lack of sleep can significantly reduce your body's antibody response to getting a vaccine. No way, right? Second is stress management. Chronic sustained stress has a well-documented two-way relationship with immune function, and it ties deeply into gut-brain regulation. Basically, sustained stress throws a wrench into how your immune system regulates itself over time. Finally, moderate physical activity. Regular, moderate exercise is associated with much better immune regulation. But interestingly, the research notes that both a completely sedentary lifestyle on one end and extreme, excessive exercise without recovery on the other show less favorable associations. It all comes back to that one core concept: balance.
Now, understanding the science is great, but that's only half the battle. We also need to be able to walk down the grocery store aisle without getting scammed. So here is a super simple three-part filter you can use to evaluate literally the very next health product you see on a shelf. Step 1. Check for the vague word boost. If a label uses this word without specifying what it actually means biologically, that is a massive red flag. Immunologists avoid this word for a reason. It doesn't mean anything measurable. Step 2. Ask yourself, does this product fix an actual diagnosed deficiency I have, or is it just trying to add extra onto my already adequate baseline? Remember, adding to a baseline rarely does you any good. Step 3. Compare its evidence against sleep and stress. If the product's evidence is weaker than the well-established benefits of just getting a full night's sleep, well, that tells you exactly where your actual health priorities should be. You don't have to distrust everything on the shelf, but you do need to apply some evidence-based skepticism.
So let's bring this whole thing together. The honest, science-backed conclusion here is that boosting your immune system was never a coherent goal to begin with. The marketing industry basically sold us a volume dial that simply never existed in our biology. The reality is that balance and appropriate regulation are what actually matter. And that beautiful regulation comes primarily from getting enough sleep, managing your stress, and getting consistent, moderate activity, not from a plastic bottle in a pharmacy. The truth is for sure a lot less exciting than a magic pill, but it is infinitely more effective for your long-term health.
I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative question to chew on today. Take a look back at your own wellness habits, or maybe even just peek into your medicine cabinet. What immune-boosting product have you bought in the past that, looking at it right now through this scientific lens, simply doesn't pass the test? It's a huge paradigm shift once you abandon the myth of the immune dial and embrace the actual science of immune balance. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this fascinating research. Keep questioning things, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.